Welcome in Culture Wars here on Morning Kick Around, and a lot of these have been American-centric, but we're going to broaden the borders, of course, bring it back to us. But an interesting conversation this week has been regarding Mo Salah. He's been on an incredible run of form. He's been arguably one of the best players for the last, 5 to 10 years, but his season now is, becoming unparalleled. So the conversation is kind of become like, what can he do to break through and become a finalist at the very least and go towards winning.
Let me ask: Is it for? I mean, you're a Liverpool fan, so you are biased. Let's make sure that that's clear. But is Mo Salah number one on your candidate list for the Ballon d'Or right now, for the next Ballon d'Or?
Yeah, I think he should be a finalist at the very least.
No. Is he number one on your list for the Ballon d'Or for the next one right now, in this moment? We don't know what's going to happen between now and the Ballon d'Or voting, but right now, is Mo Salah number one on your list?
Right now, Mo Salah is number one on my list.
He's
Top
number one on my
world
list.
In the positions that typically get awarded things.
He's number one on my list. I don't think it's really hard to get yourself to a place of thinking there's somebody else who is at his level right now. I mean, this season. But here's where the controversy comes in. So Jamie Carragher went on Sky Sports. Jamie Carragher, he's got like 8 TV jobs or something. The man's everywhere.
He's getting all the jobs.
A little bit less Jamie Carragher would be nice. This is what he said, apparently, on Sky Sports. I think the problem is the fact that he's with Egypt. He's probably not playing in the major tournament or such, or maybe not getting a great chance of winning. I think it's either the Champions League or a major tournament that wins the Ballon d'Or. So essentially this is, okay, Mo Salah has to win the Champions League in order to win the Ballon d'Or. Carragher's co-panelist Michael Richards, again, lots of these guys together, interjected and said, I'll just say AFCON is a major tournament. A lot of people at home will say they're taking that seriously. AFCON is a major tournament, just so you know. All right? Now, Jamie made a face in the moment that Michael Richards said this, and people took it as a dismissive face, like, oh, yeah, whatever, the AFCON, okay. So this created a situation where people are clapping back at Jamie Carragher, including Rio Ferdinand. So this is Rio Ferdinand. That comment is representative of the majority of people out there, what Jamie said about AFCON. The majority of people out there would say that. I don't think that's right. I think it's an ignorant thought process because AFCON, if you go to Didier Drogba, Edebi Pele, Samuel Eto'o, Riyad Mahrez, you list these players, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, they will tell you we have to win this, meaning it's very important to African players to win the African Cup of Nations. I understand what Jamie is saying, but I don't agree with it. But I understand it's the majority's fault, and it's not right. Now, there was further discussion, Jamie Carragher trying to clarify, whatever. Okay. And I think Rio maybe even went in harder. There's been some social media stuff. I'm kind of interested in this because I do think this framing, first of all, Jamie Carragher is very representative of an English mentality about the game. Yeah. Which is, if it doesn't happen in Europe, it doesn't matter. Right? That is flat out the attitude that Jamie Carragher and a lot of people like him carry. Now, their defense of that attitude would be, well, that's where the best soccer is played. And the best football is played in Europe. It's either club football with the Champions League and the best leagues in the world, the top 5 leagues in the world, are all in Europe. Or it's, in terms of the club game and in the international game, the European Championship. It's got this depth. It's there might even be some people would say the European Championship is better than the World Cup. But I think that's the wrong way to think about these tournaments in terms of pure quality. Now, obviously, I cannot account for the fact that lots of Ballon d'Or voters are going to factor in something like, are you playing high-quality football, right? If you go and score 60 goals in the Indonesian league, you're not winning the Ballon d'Or. No one's paying attention to that. That votes on the Ballon d'Or. But Mo Salah plays for one of the biggest clubs in the world, a team that is on their way potentially to winning a Premier League title. He's got a chance at winning a Champions League. He's having a historic season. And you're saying that he can't win the Ballon d'Or because he happens to be Egyptian? And that AFCON doesn't matter? When you say, okay, well, AFCON, it doesn't have Germany, and it doesn't have France, it doesn't have Italy, it doesn't have these traditional soccer powers. As if the competition is any less important because of that to Egyptians or Algerians or Ivorians or Nigerians. I mean, it's not, right? It's clearly not. And again, this attitude is so pervasive. I saw this this post on Blue Sky from Michael Cox. People know Michael Cox, zonal marking. Let's be honest. In the which of the continental tournaments are valuable in comparison to each other debate, the wrongly rated one is Copa América. Routinely a dreadful tournament, such poor quality, tough to place too much focus on a Brazilian Argentine winning it. Obviously a huge deal for others. I mean, good Lord, if we only cared about sort of the quality of play, which is subjective to begin with, let's just say that. The quality of play argument is subjective. Now, in terms of what do you even mean when you say that? Everybody's got a slightly different interpretation of what quality means, right? It's eye of the beholder stuff. Like that's fair. We may all agree that European football is the best, Robert, or the European Championship is a deep international tournament, or the Champions League represents the pinnacle of the game in terms of the quality of the players on the field. We all agree on that, but it doesn't mean necessarily we're all looking at the game through the same lens when we think about what quality is. The quality of the number of goals? Is quality the level of defending? Is quality the number of passes it takes to score a goal? Is quality just the pure technical ability of any given player on the field at any given time? Maybe it's all those things.
Yeah, I think it's all those things.
And what pisses me off about this, what Michael Cox said, Copa América, it's wrongly rated. People overvalue it. What are you talking about? Now, the European Championship is great. I love it. But in terms of intensity of competition, which is what this is supposed to be about, right? We're doing international competitions to determine champions of regions because we want to test our nation against another nation. Nobody goes harder than CONMEBOL. Nobody goes harder than CONMEBOL. You want to bitch about, there's a foul every 5 minutes, the referees get intimidated, there's too much violence, essentially, is what you're saying. It's a too violent a version of the game. I mean, that is, again, a subjective judgment of what you think about when you think about good soccer. Maybe you want free-flowing whatever. Maybe you want Barcelona against Real Madrid. Maybe you want Liverpool on the counter. And maybe to you, that's quality football. Maybe, again, it's purely about whether your center back can complete a pass and break lines. Sure. But if we're talking about just as a viewer, as a spectator, what I get entertained by, I'm going to be entertained by a knockdown, drag-out 1-1 between Argentina and Uruguay or Chile or whoever when there's 25 fouls on each side and 6 yellow cards and somebody gets sent off and the drama level is at 11. Why would I dismiss that as a why would they dismiss that as something to fold into someone's resume when we talk about what a player accomplishes and whether they deserve to be recognized as the best player in the world?
I think, yeah, all those, things need to be in question. I mean, obviously, sometimes the Ballon d'Or seems to boil down to popularity contests and whatnot. But if you're trying to truly evaluate the best player in the world, you have to take into account all of the things that you just listed. Last summer, when we had the Euros during the day and in the Copa América at night, I thought that was a pretty entertaining juxtaposition of, the fact that the styles at different places of the world still exist. It didn't become one homogenized game. The European Championship did not look like the Copa América, and I liked it. While, yes, there was more violence, there was more fouls, maybe not as much time of the ball in play, but what was the ratio of fans in ventilation ducts in comparing the two different tournaments? I mean, the passion was unrivaled.
For sure. Right. And so, again, I come back to this thing about people like Michael Cox or Jamie Carragher in this situation going, you can't put much into an Argentine or a Brazilian winning the Copa América when we talk about the Ballon d'Or, right? He's basically saying, like, we're overrating the importance of winning that tournament for a South American when we consider that South American for the Ballon d'Or. Right, so I mean, there was this argument that if Vini Jr. had won Copa América, he would have won the Ballon d'Or. He wouldn't have been beaten out to it by Rodri, who won not only a Premier League title, but a European Championship with Spain. And I guess Michael's rejecting that notion because the quality of the Copa América is not the same as the quality of the European Championship. Therefore, you're overrating it if it matters to you whether Vini Jr. won it. But that, again, misses the competitive level, not the quality level, the competitive level, the intensity of the tournament. And I know people don't like this, and it's not something it's difficult to measure, right? If you measure it by fouls per minute, as Nate is saying, quality is the number of fouls per 10 seconds, which is the problem with Copa America. If you don't like that, you don't like that. That's fine. I'm not judging you for not liking that. But you cannot tell me that Copa America is not an intensely competitive tournament and it's not difficult to win it. It's difficult to win it. It took Messi forever to win a Copa America because it is difficult to win it. So if that, yes, we are individually judging these players when it comes to the Ballon d'Or. But if an individual helps his team win an incredibly competitive tournament, regardless of whether that tournament is the highest level of the game or not, that should be very important to what we consider about his resume. Now, Mo Salah, again, it comes back to Mo Salah.
That's
right. Does he need to win AFCON to win a Ballon d'Or? I mean, yeah, I don't know. It sucks. What I'm saying is it sucks that the only way for an African player, and this one day will become an issue if the United States or Mexico starts producing players at that level. And who knows if that'll ever happen. But let's imagine a world in which there is an American or a Mexican player, right? I don't know, Canadian, maybe Alphonso Davies level kind of attacking player comes out of Canada. And they have an incredible year in the club game in Europe, playing for a top club. They win a domestic title. Maybe they win a Champions League. But is it going to be, oh, well, they're playing CONCACAF. Who cares about the Gold Cup? That doesn't mean anything. So they lose out to somebody who has maybe not quite as good a domestic season. And I know it's difficult to sort of judge apples to apples sometimes. But somebody who doesn't quite have the same domestic season, they lose out to that player because that player was in a European championship. Or, again, whatever Michael Cox says, a Copa America, which a North American cannot play in. Is that the way it's going to be? An African is handicapped. A North American is handicapped. An Oceanian is handicapped. That will just always... An Asian is handicapped. Where does the AFC champion... where does the Asian championship rate? Japanese players... I mean, what happens then? You never can win it. You have to be essentially either European or South American.
Yeah, the last time there was a non-European or South American who won it, George Weah in 1995, Liberian, president of Liberia. His son obviously plays for the United States. And the last player from Liverpool to win Ballon d'Or, 2001, Michael Owen.
Owen. Wow, that's a throwback.
So there's a lot of, if Salah did go on to win Ballon d'Or, he would be, that would be, change, one for the record books. Lewandowski probably has an outside shout. He's doing well. And he also got robbed in 2020. But going back to the point of, it would be big it would be kind of, I don't know if earth shattering, but he'd be breaking a lot of these, handicap walls if he was to be an African player, the first one in over 20, 30 years to win the award, first one from Liverpool in, 25 years. But to your point, he has a better chance than someone from North America or Asia. Like last question on this, like what would Christian Pulisic have to achieve in order to be in that question?
He can't. I
mean, it's impossible. We need to win the World Cup, win Serie A, and win the Champions League.
The only way, obviously, for a player outside of Europe or South America to win this award is to win a World Cup. I mean, obviously, that's a timing issue, right? Like, I mean, I guess if you won the World Cup 3 years before you had an incredible season, your reputation would be big enough. Now, obviously, no team outside of Europe or South America has ever won a World Cup, so that's pushing up against history. But yeah, Christian Pulisic would have to outscore the top goal scorer in Europe by 10 goals in order to be even in the conversation for a Ballon d'Or. That's look, if he was doing it obviously in the Premier League for a Premier League champion, it would be much easier because of the media attention that is given to players in that league who are playing for the best clubs. So it could be a Mo Salah kind of thing, but he would have to overperform anybody else who might be up for a Ballon d'Or. It wouldn't just be good enough to be sort of among the elite. He would have to be better than them.
Another note for a possible Salah Ballon d'Or win, bucking the trend of history. And you said there's a lot of attention on the English league. There hasn't been a player win the Ballon d'Or from an English team since 2008, Cristiano Ronaldo. So that's just prior to Rodri. Prior to Rodri.
Okay. The gap between Rodri and the last one was Ronaldo when he was at United in 2008.
15-year gap. So, I mean, it's not like, the publicity you're saying, everyone sees what happens in the Premier League, but that doesn't necessarily, cash the ticket for that award.
Well, that's true. I guess that's true. Yeah, I mean, circumstantially, you talked about how many European champions come out of England during that period? 5 or 6 at least. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's some factors there. I mean, it's obviously a different world now than it was during the height of the Messi-Ronaldo battle. Like, it was always a guarantee that one of those players, or it felt like that. And when Luka Modric won his, we all went, "Oh wow, what's going on here?"
Yeah.
But of course, he was playing for the most famous team in the world, winning things.
Yeah.
Right, and I believe
and Croatia
he took his team to a final of a World Cup. Right, that's what you would need to. And obviously, he's European, so he's playing in European championships and World Cups. So I'm not. Let's get to that. Let's cross that bridge when we get to it in terms of a North American having a chance. I feel for Mo Salah, though. And I think what Jamie Carragher may be correct in the perceptions, as Rio pointed out, but it's wrong in how we think about this. And I think, again, this snobbery over only European soccer is good soccer has got to go.
All right, we got to test this. Christian Pulisic, you got to get a transfer to Real Madrid. You got to be their golden boot winner and win every single competition you're in, and we'll truly test this theory. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe. Morning Kick Around on YouTube. We are inching our way to the 1,000 subscriber mark. So maybe if you go there now, hit the button, you might be the very next. You might be the 1,000th subscriber to this channel. Hit us up on social media at mkickaround on X, Instagram, Blue Sky. Email morningkickaround@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to donate to the show, ko-fi.com/morningkickaround. One-time donation, or make something regular occurring style treat.